in sometime August, September of next year. Now, baby Grace is 27, by the way, not to make you feel old, but your little sister is 27. So, having said that, I have a quandary. I've been asking the listeners. I ask you because I value your input. You know that. If daughter is marrying a dude that's loaded, I mean, dude is loaded, okay? He's only 28 or 29 years old, but he is very successful and he's loaded. If daughter is marrying a dude that's loaded, how much am I on the hook for the wedding, do you think? I mean, do you think that I have to, you know what I mean? Because they went to Hawaii to get engaged. He took her to Hawaii just to get engaged. Okay? So
I'm glad you brought this whole thing up. I'm glad you brought this whole thing up because I am connected with your siblings, your family on Instagram. I'm not really on Facebook much, so I saw Grace's photos, and she tagged them in Hawaii, and I'm like, damn, Grace must be killing it. They went to Hawaii for an engagement. I'm like, I could not afford to go to Hawaii for my engagement. Right. We did it down the block of the Brooklyn Bridge. So I'm like, wow, Grace must be crushing it, but now it makes sense if he's crushing it. If that's the case, I find this whole thing about paying the parents having to pay for the kids' weddings to be outdated. I really do. I don't think it's right. I did not ask my parents to chip in a ton of money. My wife's parents didn't ask to chip in a ton of money. They did. They said they wanted to contribute, but we said, we're not taking everybody's cash just because we are two working professionals. We have savings saved up. Like, this is our decision to do what we want to do.
It's not like you were 20 years old. You know what I mean? It's not like you were a kid when, you know.
Well, and that's true. I mean, they're younger than when I got married. I got married at 38, so, you know, I was older, but my wife was about 32, so, you know, and look, if he's doing really well, he's got to pay for it. I'm sorry, you just don't have to.
Well, they were going to get married in Montana. Now at least it's going to be, so it looks like they're coming east. It's going to be married, they're going to get married in Knoxville. They live in Nashville. Now, she does well, too. She is a hairdresser at a highfalutin salon in Nashville. You know what I mean? So, you know, hairdresser to the stars.
Great.
So, I mean, you go to get a haircut from my daughter, and it's $200. You know, I mean, it's like, what are you talking about? It's $200. Yeah, she's one of those kind of hairdressers. So she does all right, but he crushes it. I mean, he's flat crushing it. They got a beautiful home in Nashville and everything else. And I was sitting there, and I was like talking with the Junkyard Babe about it, and I'm like, let's buy the wedding dress. You know what I mean? Well, let's do something like that. But if they think that, I mean, I know what kind of wedding they want, and knowing him, he is a great kid, outdoorsman, hunter, fisherman, just a grill up the meat. You know, he's a great guy. You would love this guy. His family's from the Chicago area. His father is a lifelong steel mill worker, salt of the earth kind of guy. We get along great. He's Bob Swirsky. The Bears. He's that guy. He's literally that guy. One of the super fans. So he and I get along great, and he instantly, and Pancho knows this, I told him this, this young man, Blaine is his name, he instantly becomes my favorite son-in-law when they get married. I told Pancho, I said, it's just the way it's going to be. He steps in front of the line and becomes favorite son-in-law. But having said that, I don't know what the expectations are if I'm supposed to pony up for a wedding between two people that are loaded.
Yeah, I would say no. Also, how many daughters is this for you? I mean, you can't pay for every one of their weddings. So sorry, Grace, you were like seventh daughter. So
it would be like 7 weddings over 5 daughters because there's that one. That first one. Right, exactly. The first one has a hard time committing. If you know what I'm saying. I don't know if you know that first one, she has a hard time committing.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
I don't know if you heard that story or not. Inside joke there.
I heard. Yeah. I heard about that one. So yeah, I mean, frankly, no offense to Grace, she's amazing, but it just so happened that she was the 7th wedding that you had to pay for. So unfortunately, yeah, it's up to them. I'm sorry.
And the girl that my son is married, that Tommy's marrying, she's an only daughter, and they literally have been saving up her whole life. They have a wedding fund, and they saved up her whole life, and they got like.
Let them do that.
Yeah, so let them do that. We're going to do the.
Just So can parents for everything they're worth. I mean, look, you worked your tail off to get what you got. It wasn't to pay for flower arrangements and some hokey band or DJ. That's up to them. If they want that, then they can have that. Invitations, all this stuff.
It's one day.
Let them.
It's one day and it's gone. I mean, and they're smart. At least for both of them. She's a real estate agent, and Tommy's doing very well. He manages he's a general manager at a home building company. But they are smart. She did want a nice ring, so he kind of went all out on the ring. And then they're having a small wedding, like 50 people. They're going to have a small wedding, so they're smart about that. They're like, because the parents said, "We'll give you the cash, whatever's left over, we'll just give you the cash." And they're like, "That we'd rather have the money than blow it on a."
Yeah, and I can't speak to this because we don't have children, but I get the feeling that there's so many parents these days that pay for everything for the kids. The kids just automatically assume that, like, that's the ATM. Whatever we want, Mom and Dad are going to pay for it because they don't want us to struggle or have to make tough decisions or what have you. And ultimately, that's life. Like, my wife and I, we didn't get to do everything we want to do on our honeymoon. We didn't get to do everything we want to do on our wedding. We did, and both of us did well, but it wasn't like we could design the most grandiose event ever because we had to make some decisions. But such is life. We had to make some decisions because we wanted to put more into a house, and we want to do this, we want to do that. So, like, I think it's the best lesson ever to be like, you can have this or that. We can contribute here or that. You can't get everything because then what's the lesson in all that?
8 of my 9 kids went to college, and the only one that didn't go on scholarship or their own loans or their own money that they earned, the only one that we really contributed any significant amount to, is the one that didn't get out of his freshman year. That was it. Though it was so much more meaningful to all of them to earn scholarships and pay their own way. John's going to graduate in May, and I have not given him a dime. He's done everything on scholarship or worked and paid his own way, and he'll graduate from University of Alabama, Huntsville in May on his own dime. You know what I mean? So I'm so proud of him, and all of them did that. Really,
a lot to be said there.
Yeah, I believe that.
There.
Yeah, if it's high school, they don't want to go anymore. All right, an explosive book coming out from ESPN senior writer Seth Wickersham. Deep dive into the entire Patriots dynasty. You worked in Boston for a long period of time during this dynasty, and obviously are very close to it, working out in New York with CBS Sports Radio and the stuff that you've done with the NFL. I don't know if you read any of the excerpts. I have a number of them in front of me here, but the question is there much of any of this that is surprising to you? Did you always feel like there were backstories that would be very revealing down the road as this thing kind of came to an end?
Well, I think the thing that might be surprising, in retrospect, we couldn't have known it then, is that the Patriots were elite at keeping wraps on everything. This happened back in the early 2000s with the first championships in 01, 03, and 04. Lawyer Malloy gets released, and Tom Jackson has that infamous quote about everybody in the locker room, they hate their coach right now, and the Patriots laughed it off. Oh, ha, how silly, how ridiculous. TJ is so wrong on that. And it was always like, you don't know what's going on in here. You have no idea what's going on in here. And look, I was in that facility every Monday after every Patriots game for 4 years, and I sat in all those press conferences, asked questions to Bill and heard him speak, and Tom and everybody. And there's always this overwhelming arrogance of, you guys don't get it. You don't know. You're making stories up out of nowhere. It's, that's so silly. And, I'll openly say this. I would be on the air sometimes. We were the flagship of the Patriots. And I would be talking on the air at nights and doing my show, and Jonathan Kraft would call the hotline to either reprimand me or try to straighten something out that I said. You got this wrong, DA. You got that wrong. And, that there is a controlling of the message that has happened to the highest degree in New England. I think my surprise, if anything, is not that it wasn't as hunky-dory as they said, is that it would all spill out so soon afterwards. I mean, I think history suggests that things normally come out once people get farther detached and more secure and more comfortable that, hey, that appears behind me. If this is explosive, this book, and Seth does an amazing job, so I have no reason to believe that it's not, if there are details that are surprising, shocking, I would think that it's almost still not over. I mean, they're playing one another coming up on Sunday night, and of course, Belichick's going to be with the Patriots for the foreseeable future. I would have thought it would have taken a lot longer to get the juicy stuff out.
And I don't know how foreseeable that future is. I mean, we talk about this with Nick Saban in Alabama all the time, but they're both about 70 years old. Saban will be 70 next month, and Belichick is 69. So you got to think that run comes to an end at some point in time. But, I always was given the impression that Bob Kraft and Bill Belichick were connected at the hip. Kraft had a problem with Parcells, but he wanted Belichick all along. This comment, and again, I think sometimes in the written word, or maybe when you interview somebody and they tell you something, it could lose context. But this comment by Bob Kraft, who was in Aspen, Colorado for a conference and had to leave to go meet the team in Detroit for a game, he said, "I hate leaving here. You leave here and you leave some of the most brilliant people you've ever met. You pick up so much knowledge from all of these brilliant minds, and now I got to go to Detroit to be with the biggest effing a-hole in my life, my head coach." Now, that could be said in a loving way, or that could be said, "I really think my coach is an effing a-hole." How do you take that?
Well, I think it's really important, exactly as you said. Does he say it with a chuckle? Does he call Belichick in a room of people who know Belichick an a-hole and they all kind of laugh because they all know he's an a-hole? Or is he saying this out of like, I can't stand this guy, but of course I've got to do it? And that's something that we don't know. I would imagine this. This was always my sense up there. That even though there was strained relationships and they pulled at the fabric of integrity and they challenged the league, and there was an unbelievable arrogance. They all cared about winning, no matter how uncomfortable it got. And that was a bloodthirst that started with Belichick, became, I thought, very intoxicating to Robert Kraft, and ended up becoming indoctrinated into Tom Brady. I'm not saying Brady wasn't hyper-competitive and that he wouldn't always have that, but he learned this bloodthirst there where winning is never enough. You can never do it enough. And I think the three of them being at the top, it kept feeding one another, and they all kept saying, it doesn't matter if we don't like one another. If this means winning, you have to eat it. You have to keep eating it, and it's fine, and we'll just deal with it. And I think for Robert Kraft, there's always been this terrifying fear that if he let Bill Belichick go or didn't sign whatever Belichick wanted to sign, that the winning would stop, and he couldn't handle that. That Robert Kraft loves being loved. He is desperate for it. I think there's this kind of like insecurity about being respected for Robert Kraft. If you note, I joke about this on my show all the time. CBS, I think, is contractually obligated to show Robert Kraft in the box for all Patriots games and put under him records since Robert Kraft purchased team. It is mandatory under every Patriots game, and it is oftentimes paired with a record before he bought the team. He loves reminding everybody that he saved the franchise and kept it in New England instead of letting it go to Hartford or St. Louis or what have you. And I think that thing of letting Bill leave terrified him of, well, if we let Bill leave, who knows? Who knows what happens then? Because we had Pete Carroll who wasn't very good, and we know what happened at the end with Bill Parcells. So he might have said it out of malice. He might have said it out of joking, like we all know he's an a-hole. But I do think there's absolutely a part of him that just said, you swallow what you have to swallow with Bill because winning is too damn important not to.
It's interesting what you say about him wanting to be loved, because one of the things that's in the book is after Deflategate, when Roger Goodell was, public enemy number one of the Patriots and Tom Brady and all of that, Goodell was supposed to be at a game, a preseason game. Goodell, actually, it was his idea. He wanted to go on the field before the preseason game, get booed, and kind of let that Band-Aid get ripped off. Well, he was late getting to the game, and then he was up in Robert Kraft's suite, and a Boston Globe reporter, Ben Volen, tweeted a grainy picture of Goodell in Kraft's suite, and Goodell went nuts. He went crazy, or Kraft went crazy. He says, "You're killing me with my fans. Why would I want to be seen in here with Roger with all the stuff that's going on with Brady?" So he was literally like the two Robert Krafts. And, of course, we learned a little bit about it after his wife died, and, he gets a little bit goofy, whatever. But it was like the image is so important to him. He bristled at the idea that somebody would take a picture of Roger Goodell in his suite.
Totally. Remember after that, or in the wake of that, the team launched that website that had like PSI, scientific examples, to challenge the science of the pressurized balls. And it was so cheap and, I thought, tacky for the Patriots to do that, considering the league had stood behind Robert Kraft a million times before and let Robert Kraft dictate so much about schedules, about relocation, about the LA franchise, Kraft, about the television deals. Kraft runs so much of the league, and the moment the league ran afoul with Robert Kraft, suddenly Kraft was like, "We're fighting this. We're fighting this." I really don't think that was Robert Kraft. I think that was Kraft succumbing to the public pressure in Boston of, "We're never wrong. The league is out to get us." And Robert Kraft had to follow the marching orders of those in his organization. Perhaps it's Bill Belichick. Perhaps it was the shadow figure Ernie Adams, who has a much bigger role in all of this than people realize. Perhaps it was, a city inflamed. And it was like to appease the masses, to throw meat to the lion. And it was, we're going to fight. We're going to fight for our integrity. Here's the science behind it. And I'm like, launch your own website to challenge the science. You ain't getting your draft pick back. Not getting your suspension reduced about Tom Brady. That doesn't mean that, we don't all know that you're kind of constantly cheating. Whether you want to say that it didn't have a big deal or not, that's one thing. But don't say it didn't happen, because of course it happened, because you're caught red-handed with it happening. And I just think, yes, Kraft is consumed by being popular within that city for the success he has, quote, brought.
And then finally, there's the part in the book about the successor to Bill Belichick and how they had talked about the potential successors and whether or not Josh McDaniels would be around. And if he wasn't around, maybe Bill O'Brien, who was the head coach of Houston at the time, would be a potential target for the next head coach of the New England Patriots. And supposedly, according to the book, Bill O'Brien heard about it. He was in the middle of a power struggle with Rick Smith, a very tough situation that he had there in Houston, and that he actually, O'Brien says now that he actually tried to get fired so that he would be available to be the next coach of the New England Patriots. And of course now he's the offensive coordinator in Tuscaloosa, in the Nick Saban head coaching rehabilitation program. Is he just there hanging out, waiting for Belichick to retire and potentially be the next head coach of the Patriots?
Well, it's interesting because the Patriots deny that there was ever a deal with Josh McDaniels, but it certainly seemed ridiculous that he would pass up on the Colts job to return to New England if there wasn't some head coaching job promised to him. And so whether it's McDaniels or Bill O'Brien, whether there is a real wait, who knows? But I think the Patriots have always been terrified of what happens after, which is why they held on to Tom Brady as long as they did. Of course, he was still productive at the end, but it is why Robert Kraft continuously tried to build the bridge between Bill and Tom for the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, if it was up to Bill, he probably would have cut bait with Tom much earlier and, not given him an inch, and they would have went to Garoppolo sooner or what have you. And I think that they probably, if it wasn't for Kraft, would have let Josh McDaniels go. Take the Colts job. That's fine. But Kraft is terrified of what happens after. And Sunday night is going to be a real reckoning because I think they're going to lose by 2 touchdowns, maybe more. And you're going to have the Buccaneers come in with Tom Brady and sashay out with an easy victory on national TV. And the Patriots are going to be left at 1-3 with a rookie quarterback. And, what's their season look like? And, sorry, but Patriots fans, as great as they have been over 20 years, don't know what it's like to have back-to-back losing seasons. I don't think they're showing up at Gillette in December for a game against the Jets or a game against the Dolphins or what have you, if there's nothing on the line. Oh, I guess those two teams have already played at Gillette. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's not very fun in Patriots land if you're not winning. That's not something they're accustomed to, so they're not going to show up, and it's not going to be very cool to be a Patriots fan, and they are terrified of that day when it's the Sox or the Celtics or perhaps the Bruins that pass them on the freeway and they have their 20 years, and then that's that because there's something else going on.
That's a great point. Damon,
I don't know what they're next, but it's a weird time in Patriot land. Yeah,
no, there's no doubt about it. And I don't think that it's an indictment or I don't think it's taking anything away from Bill Belichick, but if they are embarrassed, then that would be a problem. But I expect both teams to play pretty well. I think the game will be played at a pretty high level. But we'll see. And I don't think Mac Jones has sucked. And he didn't suck in that game. He threw those interceptions, got balls bouncing off of people. At some point in time, that's the old issue. The dirty little story was that secret was how Tom Brady was able to do it with the revolving door of wide receivers and running backs. They never had the horses, that you see at some other places for sure. Well, D.A., I appreciate you. Thanks for the advice on the weddings.
Yeah, sure.
That's good. Your siblings kind of getting married, so that's your step sibling or whatever we want to call them. But two left. There's two to go. Two little boys left. So we'll see what happens down the road with that.
Everybody is married, having a house, graduated college.
Empty nesters. We're going to be empty nesters here pretty soon. I mean, it's pretty cool actually.
That just means the junkyard baby is going to look into having more kids. She's not ready for that.
They keep coming back. There's 10 grandkids already, and now we got more getting married. I mean, there's probably going to be another 5 or 6 grandkids, and we are thinking about selling the house and not giving a forwarding address. We just maybe go into the mountain someplace and just tell us when the party and where the parties are. We'll come off the mountain, and we'll come visit you because this place is like a revolving door. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's like a hotel. It's like a bed and breakfast. They just keep coming back over and over again.
My uncle and aunt had 2 children. They're my first cousins, and we were very close. And my cousin, who's a guy, he had 2 sons. My other cousin, who's a girl, she married a husband from a second marriage. He had one. She had one from previous marriages. Then they had 2 more. So there's 6 grandkids, and they're all within the same kind of like 5 or 6 year range. And the grandparents, my uncle and aunt, were just getting driven batty. Take this one to this practice, watch this one when we go to work, etc. Be childcare. One day they just showed up at like a family event, and they were like, "Yeah, we're moving to Delaware," and like their kids had no idea, nobody had any idea. Everyone's like, "What?" Jaw hit the ground. They were like, "Yeah, peace out, we're out," and they just wanted to be far enough where they didn't have to chaperone any more of these kids. It was just enough for them, and now they're gone and they're loving life.
Now, we're thinking about buying like a big RV bus type thing and go park it somewhere on a piece of land, and then we'll just drive and sit in their driveways. You know what I mean? We'll just go house to house and sit in their driveway for a week and then disappear again. So I don't know. We'll see. And I'll do the show from the bus. Now with the technology that we have, I'll just do the show from the bus. You know what I mean? And it'll work.
Madden Cruiser style.
Exactly. A little Madden Cruiser. A little dog cruiser. We'll call it the dog cruiser. All right, man. Appreciate you.
Okay. See you, big dog.
Thanks. See you.
Bye.
Let's get a break. We'll come back and wrap up hour number 1 next. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer here. Baumhauer's Victory Grill is your big game headquarters all fall long. And with our new fall features, every day is game day at Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Try our pregame starters, including our homemade onion strings, always fresh hot lips, and our all-new Buffalo Dippin' Chicken appetizer. Our main events include incredible chicken, fish, and shrimp selections, always featuring local Alabama Gulf seafood. And don't forget our Sunday Blitz, 11 to 6. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Fans, the season may be over, but the fun is just getting started at Toyota Field. Coming up on October 9th will be our Beer and Wine Fest, which features over 40 samplings. On October 30th, our Trunk or Treat returns, with trick-or-treating taking place 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., with a screening of The Haunted Mansion to follow at 7:15. Finally, our Christmas Lights Show returns November the 12th and runs through. For more information, go to trashpandasbaseball.com/events. Trash Pandas Baseball. Ignite the season.
Carrier Rosenblum here with Rosenblum Realty, and we appreciate our MA family. Football season is back again, and we're here for your real estate needs. We've been also doing rental properties for many years. You may have a home that you need to lease out. You don't need the headaches. You need somebody to take care of it, make sure the repairs are done, keep the rent coming in, and screen the tenants. We can do all that for you at Rosenblum Realty, where we do property management services, or you can find a good home to rent as well. Call us at 256-539-9501. Put our years of experience to work for you.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked the reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
Drinking coffee straight from the pot. Power move. Wearing a bathrobe to work. Power move. Switching to super fast, extra reliable internet from WOW. Power move. Switch and save with WOW internet for just $19.99 a month. It's switching season, so make a move with our end of summer flash sale. This month only, get Internet 100 with no contracts for just $19.99 a month. Plus, get a 2-year price lock and the first month free. Make the switch at wowway.com today.
Wow.
Limited to new customers with autopay and paperless billing. Offer subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Not a bad afternoon across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. A fair mix of sunshine and cloud cover. It's going to feel a little more humid compared to what we've had over the last couple of days. As a matter of fact, it's going to feel a little more humid compared to what we've dealt with across the Tennessee Valley over about the last week and a half. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid 80s. A couple of isolated to widely scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to be possible this afternoon across the Tennessee Valley with some isolated to widely scattered showers. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Chris, have you watched any Manning cast? You watching any of the alternate ESPN2 Manning cast on Monday nights? Or you been watching a game?
Yeah, a little. Yeah, I've been watching a little bit of it. Yeah.
I have only popped over for a minute or two, and I love Peyton and Eli Manning and the interaction and stuff, but I don't like these alternate broadcasts. I wish they were on the broadcast is where I wish. I wish you'd have like a play-by-play guy, and then you'd have, these two guys on the cast. But it's not for me. Maybe it's because I'm an old man. I don't know. But it's not the way I want to watch the game. I want the game to be the thing. I like the sound of the game, the net sound of the game, and the excitement, the play-by-play aspect of the game. I'd like to see them in the booth, but not, in their living rooms on a Zoom call doing it that way. I mean, maybe that's just me.
No, I get it. I did like the double birds by Eli. That was great. He didn't realize he was on live television, but he
did realize.
I know.
They can block this out, right? He said they can block it out.
They should be able to. I do like. I think it would look a lot better as a broadcast for sure.
How can I get Grumpy in here? Do I have any?
Squeeze
time?
him in. You got time.
Let me squeeze him in quick. Grumpy, what's going on?
Hey man, I'll be real brief. I thought Alabama was going to lose a game this year. Now looking at the schedule, I don't know who's going to beat them. Everybody just doesn't look like. I thought Texas A&M had something for them. I thought Florida might have something for them. I thought Ole Miss, I just don't see them losing a game this year. And then Georgia, what have they shown me this year? I don't know why. I agree with you. The point spread at 18, it's crazy. Georgia couldn't even score a touchdown against Clemson offensively. I'd like, have you told Grizz about the time you made one of your guys cry?
Yeah.
Remember that one? Have you told that story to him?
Oh, yeah. He knows the story. Yeah.
I heard it.
Yeah. Grizz is tougher than that, though.
And then the last thing, real quick here, because you mentioned it the other day, I hadn't been able to get in. I don't even think that Deontay Adams hit. They didn't. Come on. He wasn't knocked out. That wasn't even helmet-to-helmet contact, man.
I think he was out before he hit the ground.
Nah.
You don't think so?
Nah, I don't. Well, listen, I know you're pressed for time, so I'll let you go.
All right. Appreciate you. Grumpy and I are out on an island with this thing so far. I mean, Reese Davis thinks that Georgia covers. Wes Neighbors thinks that Georgia covers. I mean, all these people are talking to me about how I'm nuts thinking that Arkansas can hang. Grumpy and I think Arkansas hangs. I love them getting it. My son asked me about Michigan getting 4.5 now at Wisconsin. It went from 1.5 to 4.5. I told him, I don't trust Michigan right now. I just don't trust them yet. Arkansas, I trust. Maybe we're wrong. We're going to find out. That's why they play the games. Coming up next, Josh Caray joins us. We're talking some country hardball. Right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Brooks & Collier has always been about making the most of your outdoors. Our lush greenhouse and new furniture ideas will inspire you, but we're also about value. Our brands are so handsome, they'll make themselves comfortable inside or out, and so well made, they'll weather the weather for many years to come. Our staff can consult you on the right choices, and Lucy for sure can show us the sofa that's the most comfortable. Make the most of your outdoors. Meridian Street and at brooksandcollier.com.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner of University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Madison Academy football. And a quick shout out to my son, Avery Seaton, number 19. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including our all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and the sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com to view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in the Kia. Go Mustangs!
Thom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening. The Buccaneers are adding valuable experience to their backfield, one of the youngest in the NFL. Veteran cornerback Richard Sherman signing with the defending Super Bowl champs, a one-year deal, reports ESPN's Adam Schefter. Sherman believes he needs a week or two to be ready to play in a game. He is dealing with legal issues connected to a July incident at his in-laws' house. Source told ESPN's Jenna Lane the Buccaneers did their due diligence on the legal situation and believe Sherman has the necessary support systems in place. More on the NFL, including Tom Brady's return to Foxborough when NBC Sports announcer Al Michaels joins Greeny with Mike Greenberg in 35 minutes. One of tonight's MLB postseason impact games, Braves-Philly, 6:30 Eastern ESPN Radio, 7:20 Eastern ESPN Plus. Atlanta up 3.5 on Philly in the NL East. The Braves' magic number to clinch the division is 4.
While other stations keep changing their lineup,
Yeah!
we keep plugging away.
Did you lose your mind all of a sudden, or was it a slow, gradual process?
Thank you for making us your number one choice for sports talk in North Alabama. We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You need to be more like a dog.
Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. You guys know what they're talking about.
Be a dog.
God bless the show. You are the Messiah.
We need more dogs.
This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you. I see you, dog.
So settle in and get your bark on.
That's my dog.
Now live, here he is, the big dog.
Let's go, baby!
Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 How you doing?
Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like Elle McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond? Get off my lawn.
I have to drag my Yankee ass out of here.
Wheeler brings it. There's a shot out to left and a base hit. Here comes Darno. Dansby right behind him. McCutcheon will fire to second base. 2 RBI single. 2-0 Atlanta. 3-2 pitch. Got him swinging. Strike 3. Braves win game 1 and the magic number's down to 3.
3. That ESPN report there at the top of the hour is wrong. Fake news. You'd think they would get it right. It's 3, not 4.
Come on, ESPN.
Come on. The magic number was 5 going in. You win, they lose. It's now 3. And when the Braves win tonight and beat the Phillies, it'll be 1. Unless I don't know what I'm talking about. No, maybe a guy who's smarter than me when it comes to baseball is Josh Caray of the Trash Pandas, big baseball guy, and he joins us now to talk a little MLB in this great week of baseball that's going on, and he's on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Josh, 3, not 4, right? I mean, you win, they lose. You're gaining 2 a day if you're playing head to head.
Yep, that's what it is. It's numbers of wins by you and losses by them adding up to 3 at this point, and I think they may clinch it tonight. I think if it gets down to 1 and all that the Phillies can do is tie, don't they? Well, actually, no, they would have to play a 1-game playoff. Okay, so never mind. I was thinking maybe there would be a head-to-head, but that would only be if both teams made the playoffs. So, yeah, they would have to play a playoff after that. So, yeah, they can get it down to 1 tonight.
Yeah, they can get it down to 1 tonight, and then they get the Mutts in town for 3. So they're in great position, and they're in great position because of the tremendous pitching of Charlie Morton. I mean, a lot was made about Morton when they brought him in and how this was all about, the playoffs, and they needed that kind of a guy with that kind of experience in the playoff when that time comes. But the reality is, I mean, Max Fried has been very good, but it's hard not to say that the 37, 38-year-old Charlie Morton isn't the ace of the staff right now, or the stopper, whatever you want to call him. He doesn't have the best ERA. He's got 3.39, and Fried has a 3.12, but Charlie Morton now 14-6, and he's just been amazing. In big games, he's been amazing, especially.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why you signed him is for the big game experience and for the playoff experience, things like that. Here's the deal. 2 weeks ago, I wasn't so sure about how these guys would perform in the playoffs, but now you look at it and I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but you look at a best-of-5 series, and we don't know who they'll play, but you go a best-of-5 and you have Fried and Morton at the top of your rotation, you start to feel pretty good about things. And when you talk about a best-of-5 and it's, you got to win 3 games and 2 of your guys are those, suddenly things are starting to look pretty rosy on that end. So things are starting to come together at the right time for these guys. And I think what I've been probably most impressed with, Tom, is not just the work from Charlie and the work from Fried as well, but having the bats look good. I mean, they found a way to win on Saturday. It was a bit of a slugfest. They had to find a way to win against San Diego. The bullpen came through on Sunday. You got a great pitching performance from Fried on Friday. They're finding different ways to win. So it's not just all one way where they're doing it. They're relying on several different ways. They're becoming a pretty well-rounded team, and they're doing it at the right time.
Well, here's the reality as far as who they would play. It's got to be Milwaukee. Because the only way I'm looking at this thing, and Milwaukee's been good, but they're not unbeatable. In a 5-game deal with the way you got 3 guys that can go right now that are pitching pretty, 4 guys that are pitching pretty good, like you say. But it's got to be Milwaukee because the dirty little secret is here. Let's say San Francisco's going to hang on and win the West. They have a 2-game lead now over the Dodgers in the West. This is amazing. These are the 2 best teams in all of baseball, and it's not even close. But the Dodgers would have to play the Cardinals, who have won like 38 games in a row now, 17 games in a row, I guess, in a 1-game playoff. Hilarity would ensue if the 88 and 69 St. Louis Cardinals say they win 90, 91 games go against a Dodger team that's got 103 wins or something like that in a one-game deal and knock the Dodgers clean out of this thing, which would be absolutely amazing. But even if they don't, the Giants, with the number 1 seed, they would play the wild card winner, even if it's the Dodgers, who was just a couple of games behind them, right? So it looks like the Braves and the Brewers are ticketed for each other. So the Braves catch a break. They'll actually play the team, with the second worst record, if you will, in all of the playoffs if they make it.
And let's face it, of all the teams we're talking about right now that are kind of earmarked for the playoffs, which one would you want to play right now? It's Milwaukee. And that's not a knock on Milwaukee. Milwaukee's a good team. But you talked about St. Louis winning 17 in a row, and you talk about what the Dodgers and Giants have done so far. I take Milwaukee right now. When you look at what's going on out west, isn't it amazing? It reminds me a little bit of 1993 when the Braves were in the West and they were playing the Giants, and those two teams finished with over 100 wins. I remember Atlanta they wound up winning. That was the year they got McGriff, and they came back from like 10 games down, and they won on the final day, and everyone was so exhausted. They wound up playing the Phillies, who had Mitch Williams and Lenny Dykstra and John Kruk and all those guys. Atlanta wound up losing, and I think part of the reason they lost is they were just so beaten down from that long pennant race. You wonder if the same thing might happen here, and you kind of hope the same thing happens if you're a Braves fan. Obviously, that's well into the future right now. But you start to look at what the Dodgers and the Giants are going through, and, just beating up on each other, and then, you're looking at L.A. playing a good St. Louis ball club. In about 10 days, these teams, when we get to the LCS, are going to be so worn down from what they've been through. You wonder how much juice will be left for an LCS. The National League by itself is going to be fascinating, and then you take in what's happening in the American League. This is probably one of the better baseball postseasons we've had in the last 20 years or so. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be great for the game.
I'm not a fan of the one game, and this will be the last year we have it because I think the collective bargaining is going to make these wild card series actual series. But I'm not a big fan of the one game deal. I mean, baseball's about series. It's not about having a contrived seventh game in that wild card deal. But having said that, in the American League wild card race, as you mentioned, it's like the playoffs now, right? I mean, it feels like it's a tournament now. It feels like the Yankees and the Jays are playing a playoff series almost. And if the Yankees can win 2 out of 3 there, they'll probably finish off the Jays. And then you got the Red Sox who are playing Baltimore, and they blow a game against Baltimore last night. They should coast through these last 5 games that they had between Baltimore and Washington, yet they lose that game. It almost feels like, and then the Yankees get the Rays to finish the season, and who knows how the Rays mindset will be. Maybe it'll be resting players or maybe not, but it'll be in New York. But it feels like this is a playoff week in the AL wild card.
Yeah, and isn't it amazing? A couple of weeks ago, I won't say we were writing the Yankees off, but we kind of felt like they were on life support, right? I mean, they were. The Blue Jays had beaten them up in a couple of games, and the Indians came in and killed them for a weekend series.
Yeah.
And you kind of thought they were done and gone. And then they go to Fenway. They swept that series, if I'm not mistaken. And then they so far they've taken care of business against Toronto. It's almost like they just flipped a switch. And what gets scary about this time of year, Tom, is when you get into these short series, these 5-game, 7-game series, best of 7, best of 5. All of a sudden, if you just get hot at the right time, suddenly you can run the table and be a contender for a world title. And that's why when I look at a team like the Yankees, who have such a great hitting core, I know their pitching's a little but they have that Yankee mystique, and there's something about going into that city and going into that stadium that's going to scare a lot of people. And then you look at a team like St. Louis that's just playing lights out right now. Maybe they're the team that winds up just screwing this entire thing up. Maybe they wind up going on a run through October. And I cannot stress enough how badly the game needs this right now. When you look at how ugly things were just getting a season underway last year, when you look at what things might be this upcoming off season with the CBA, baseball needs some good mojo, and this is a great opportunity to do it. And certainly the Yankees are involved. That's a great thing as well because, let's face it, a lot of people like to watch the Yankees, whether they love them or hate them.
They have been so ridiculously streaky. If you remember, they lose the Field of Dreams game, and then after that, they have the longest winning streak that they have had since the 50s. We're talking about an organization that wins a lot of games since the 50s. They won like 11 or 12 in a row, which for them, I mean, it pales in comparison to the 17 in a row that the Cardinals have done. But for them, it was the longest winning streak since the 50s, and they had actually moved within 5 of Tampa Bay, and people were thinking, they're back in it in the East, and then Tampa Bay wrecked them, and then they looked like they were stumbling around again, and they lost a bunch of games in a row. Now they've won 7 in a row again, and so they're right back in this situation as at least in a wild card. You mentioned mystique, though, and one of our listeners texted a question in, and he said, well, why is it in sports, and we'll talk specifically about baseball, we see players that put on a Yankee uniform, and all of a sudden they were journeyman players, and they become really good players, or the Yankees seem to get the breaks, down the stretch and win these games. The Cardinals were dead and gone, and all of a sudden it's the St. Louis Cardinals. With all that history, they're the ones that get on a run. And you could say the same thing about Atlanta over the last 20 years now. The Braves, it's like the National League East. It's their destiny. The first couple in this current run of winning the National League East, they were kind of like surprise winners. It was supposed to be the Nationals, and then it's always supposed to be the Mets, and the Phillies get Bryce Harper. But it's like the Braves figure out a way to win the National League East every year. Why do you think that happens in baseball where there's that mystique around certain organizations?
Well, I think, first it starts with players. You got some guys who, or in this era of free agency, you're always going to have some guys who are always there. Right? So for the Yankees in the 90s, you always had Jeter and O'Neill. For the Braves, you had Glavine, Maddox, and Smoltz. Today, you got Freddie Freeman. In St. Louis, you got Yadier Molina. You got guys who are always there and who have been there, who know the culture, who know the city, and who know what the fans are about, who know what the organization is about. And they have such clout in the clubhouse, they can go up to their guys and say, hey, we need to pick it up now. This is the time to do it. You listen to me. Hop on my back. We're going to carry this to the end. And even if that player is not maybe the leader on the field in terms of having great numbers or everything, just their voice is one of those. It's one of those catalysts that can help carry a team to the finish line. And I think when you look at what's happened this season, you look at the Yankees and guys like Judge and Stanton. You look at the Braves again and Freeman and how he's turned his season around. Those are guys who, I think they understand that in April and May and June, you can't really get on guys too much because it's such a long season. But when you get to July and August and you get closer to the end of the season and you start getting toward that very end, those guys start to become a little more vocal and they start to push their teammates a little more, and they have such regard and such a respect held in their clubhouse that guys cannot help but listen to them. So that's number one. And number two, the managers. Brian Snitker is a really good manager, if you haven't noticed. Schilt over in St. Louis is a fantastic manager. Aaron Boone, warts and all, is a very good manager. And at the end of the day, those guys are also people who are highly respected amongst their peers, amongst their players, and, of course, amongst management as well. So when you got those two things hitting, your players and your managers, and they're all working on all cylinders, and they've got the respect of the clubhouse, you're always going to have a chance. And it's about knowing when to start poking at guys and getting them to play at a higher level, which can be hard to do over 162 games. It's knowing when exactly to ask for more. That's really what makes the difference, and that's what guys are really good at.
Not on that list would be J.C. Tingler. Somebody's going to get a hell of an organization, or not. I say organization, a hell of a lineup anyway. Now they're under 500. This has been an absolute unmitigated disaster. There's no way he can survive this, right? And you think that that's going to be a job that should be highly sought after, unless the personalities are just too damn big that makes it an annoying job.
Well, and that's what you wonder. First off, it's never 100% the manager's fault, right? But it's always the manager who takes the first fall. So I don't see him lasting past this season just because someone's got to take the blame. Hey, they're not getting rid of Machado. They're not getting rid of Tatis by any means. So forget that. But you have to wonder, don't you? I mean, they were in it for the most part of this season, and then you got down to the nitty-gritty, and the exact reverse happened. All of these veterans that you saw for Atlanta and St. Louis and the Yankees and the Red Sox, they were able to come through. All of these young guys for the Padres didn't. And so maybe it's just a matter of getting some more veteran leadership in there. And maybe you need a more old-school manager. Maybe you don't need a younger guy who can relate to the players. Maybe you need a Tony La Russa type. Or maybe you just need a few more veteran players who can go in there like a Freddie Freeman, like a Yadier Molina, who can go in there and kick a little bit of butt and, get on guys a little bit and not just, be a teammate, but also be a teammate/coach and a guy who can harp on guys when they need it. And so I don't know how you deal with that. I don't think it's a problem that can't be solved because that is a good ball club. But you have to wonder how this team fell so quickly towards the end of the season. I think it's probably more of a maturity issue than it is talent.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, too, the chemistry is a real thing. I mean, people think that it's some kind of just a term, but chemistry amongst the team is a real thing. And as an individual a sport as baseball can be, it's still a team sport. And you take the Braves, Ronald Acuna Jr., I mean, he left a 500 team, and now they're a playoff team, 12 games over 500. And I'm not saying that you don't want Acuna. Obviously, you want a guy like that, but maybe he comes back with a little bit of a thought mindset that I need to be part of this whole thing, not that I'm the straw that stirs the drink, so to speak. The Yankees, they took off when all those guys went off on the COVID issue. When they had the COVID issue after that game, at the Field of Dreams game, they had a bunch of guys gone, big name guys, Aaron Judge, all these guys were gone, and a bunch of kids were called up, and they won game after game after game. So it does kind of still always come back to it being the chemistry in a clubhouse, how important that can be.
Yeah, and at the end, sometimes when you get rid of those guys who are big name players, big money players, I think everyone tends to relax a little bit because the media is not as fixated on one guy. They can really focus more in on the manager. So let's use the Yankees as an example, right? If you have Stanton and Judge and all those guys in there, all the cameras are going to go to them, and all the players see that, and it can be a little overwhelming. But when those guys aren't there anymore, all the cameras are going to go over to the manager, and all the players can kind of sit back and kind of – sometimes that's all you need is just to play the game and not worry about all the distractions around you. It sounds like that's pretty much what happened to the Yankees and what allowed them to get back into things. And when you're in other markets where you don't have as intensive a scrutiny as that can help out with things as well. It sounds like maybe that's what the Padres needed. Maybe guys like Tatis and Machado need to take a back seat. Maybe Ronald Acuna needed to take a little bit of a back seat just so everyone else can play a little bit. And then from that standpoint, when they come back with a different set of eyes and a different point of view, maybe then they can mesh better together when things return to normal for them. So, you hope that things, at least on Ronald's, for Ronald and for Braves fans, can go back to normal once he does return. Certainly, I agree with you. They would be better off if he were in the lineup. But, sometimes when you can see that the team is still succeeding even without you, it can humble you in a good way as well.
Always a pleasure talking some country hardball with Josh Caray. He'll be with us through the World Series. Next time we talk, we'll have all the matchups, Josh. I mean, it's going to be something. The rest of this week is going to be something through the weekend, and then and I think we're going to have a really fun playoff.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be one of the better ones in recent history.
They're not going to screw this up in the winter, are they? I mean, baseball has been trying to kill itself since 1919. I mean, it always seems to be baseball will figure out a way to try and kill itself, and they can't kill a game because it's just too great a game. But tell me that we're going to start on time and we're not going to have a bunch of stupid stuff going on next winter. We're not going to have a 130-game season or something because the baseball season starts late.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way that – I think that the risk is just too big. I mean, they cannot possibly do this. And especially the way it all unfolded last year during the pandemic, billionaires and billionaires arguing when, people are out of a job, you can't do it. You cannot allow that to happen. And I think they know it. So I think something will get done. I'm not saying it ain't going to get ugly. It could very well get ugly. But I think eventually, when it's all said and done, they are going to get something done. Fortunately, they have already begun to talk, and I think that's very important. Go ahead, start the dialogue now. Go ahead, get some things out on the table so you have a full head of steam going into the talks when the World Series is in and you're not starting from scratch in November. So I think eventually they will get it done.
Always an excellent job. I appreciate you, man.
All right, be good, brother.
All right, thank you, Josh Caray. All right, when we get back, there's some big doings going on in the Big Ten this week. SEC has a great schedule. We talked that to death. What about the 10 this week? I mean, there's some good games in the 10 this week, and one of them involves, Talia Tagovailoa. I wanted to say one of our own, but, I mean, kind of is, right? The Alabama kid, not Alabama kid. White kid, went to high school in Alabama. It's Talia Tagovailoa. Talia Tagovailoa, would he be the starting quarterback at Alabama right now? Could he have kept Bryce Young off the field? He's grading out as the number one guy. I don't know. All right, we'll get a break and come back. Ryan O'Gara joins us next from SaturdayTradition.com on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Drinking coffee straight from the pot. Power move. Wearing a bathrobe to work. Power move. Switching to super fast, extra reliable internet from WOW. Power move. Switch and save with WOW Internet for just $19.99 a month. It's switching season, so make a move with our end of summer flash sale. This month only, get Internet 100 with no contracts for just $19.99 a month. Plus, get a 2-year price lock and the first month free. Make the switch at wowway.com today.
Wow.
Limited to new customers with autopay and paperless billing. Offer subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner of University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Madison Academy football. And a quick shout out to my son, Avery Seaton, number 19. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including our all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and the sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com to view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in the Kia. Go Mustangs!
Organizations using Salesforce know how powerful the platform is and how much time, money, and headaches it saves if it's set up right and you know how to use it. Let's face it, Salesforce is complicated and time-consuming to figure out, and a lot can go wrong now and down the road without expert help. That's why most Salesforce users work with an implementation partner like Higher Echelon, so they get the absolute most out of their Salesforce investment. Higher Echelon is a 5-star Salesforce consulting partner who won Salesforce Military Hiring Partner of the Year. President Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets. He puts that experience to good use at Higher Echelon, where they pride themselves on hiring veterans. Look, not all Salesforce partners are the same. Don't put your company at risk by going with an inferior partner. Higher Echelon is the trusted partner you can count on to get you up and running and seeing returns on your Salesforce investment in a fraction of the time it would take if you go it alone. Go to higherechelon.com. That's HIGHERECHELON.com to learn more. Go higher and go Army.
Orange is the color of power, of progress, the color of Kubota and Huntsville Tractor and Equipment. Those who need to get things done, trust Kubota's L and M Series tractors, zero-turn mowers, the fun sidekick, from one of the top dealers in the country. More than 50 years of family service, every part in the book, and folks who know what to do with them. You'll be seeing orange with Huntsville Tractor and Equipment.
Come on, let's go to work.
Southern Fidelity Mortgage. Think of them as a loan for everyone, offering more products than anyone else and the guaranteed lowest rates and costs in town. Of the 2,000 loans that Southern Fidelity Mortgage has pre-approved over the last 10 years, all but one have closed. That's unprecedented in the banking business. For FHA, VA, rural development, and conventional mortgages, for the best mortgage experience in town, it's Southern Fidelity Mortgage.
Call Southern Fidelity Mortgage Company at 256-656-5936.
Maybe the air doesn't blow like it should, or it's needing new tires, or you're just ready for something newer. It's time to move up, time to trade up. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and it's the perfect time to trade in and trade up because your current car or truck is worth more than you know. In fact, we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't trade. We have nearly 100 Ford Blue Advantage certified pre-owned models to choose from. Our Ford Gold certified or low mileage, gently used vehicles with great warranties. They've passed a 172-point inspection by certified technicians, come with a 24-hour roadside assistance, plus a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. It's the perfect time to trade in and trade up because your vehicle is worth more right now at Woody Anderson Ford. Corner of Jordan Lane and Sparkman Drive. Hope to see you soon.
What can you expect when you shop for a firearm at Bullet & Barrel? Expect great prices. We specialize in quality over quantity. Expect great service. Our professional sales staff is never pushy. We won't talk you into something that doesn't fit your needs. You have the right to make a smart, informed decision. Expect Bullet & Barrel, Alabama's only 5-star indoor shooting range, to support you after the sale. Bullet & Barrel, 3252 Lehman Ferry Road. Like or follow us on Facebook. Come see us soon.
This is Chuck Oliver. Listen to me coming up today at noon. Now back to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back to Thom Abraham Show. This segment brought to you by our good friends at North Alabama Mortgage. That's right, whether you're in Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, doesn't matter. North Alabama Mortgage is there for you. They can help you with a refi or a new finance on a new home. It's a great time to be buying. You need North Alabama Mortgage to help walk you through what could be a very stressful time, but it's not stressful when Brian Hammaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage help you with that. Go to NorthAlabamaMortgage.com for more. Joining us now, look, it's a big weekend, as I said, in the Big Ten. There's a lot of very interesting storylines. We got to start sorting things out a little bit. And joining us now is Ryan O'Gara from Saturday Tradition. He is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Ryan, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Man, there are so many storylines now going on in the Big Ten this week. Let's start with this Michigan-Wisconsin game. Wisconsin, very choppy right now offensively. It looks like they picked the wrong quarterback to keep, to be honest with you, after what we saw against Notre Dame and even a little bit against Penn State. Now Michigan comes in, and you know how Michigan fan is. They're starting to get excited. 4-0. Did they finally get the right guys in the right places? Can we trust Michigan going to Wisconsin this week?
That is the big question, Tom. And it seems like this happens every year. Michigan gets a couple big wins early in the season. Everybody gets all excited. And then they come crashing down to reality. You kind of feel bad for them when that happens, just because they get their hopes up and it turns out the team isn't any good. I do think this year's Michigan team, and this is coming from a guy who, after watching them last year against Minnesota in the season opener when they looked unstoppable, thought that Michigan was back. So take this with a grain of salt. But I do think this Michigan team looks more like this little run they're on looks more sustainable to me. They have a clear identity, which I don't think they ever have really had the last couple of years. That's what's most exciting if you're a Michigan fan. There is an identity. Blake Corum, Hassan Haskins, terrific running backs. The offensive line is playing awesome. They're not asking their quarterback to do too much. So it does feel like they know what they're doing. So that is the biggest thing in Michigan's favor this week. But the last couple of times they played Wisconsin, it's not even been close. I mean, not at all. I mean, I don't even think the scores have been indicative, even though Wisconsin's won by 30 points here the last couple of years. I don't even think it's been that close. So
that's what I wonder. Can you line up and run the ball 50 times against that Wisconsin defense? I mean, and if they can't, do they have the ability in the passing game to make the plays they need to make?
That's what we're going to learn this weekend, because Wisconsin has the number one rushing defense in the country. They're allowing 23 yards a game.
That's ridiculous.
They're 1 yard a carry is what they're allowing. And they've only played 3 games, One of them was Eastern Michigan, but the other two were Penn State and Notre Dame, and those are teams that recruit at a very high level and have a lot of athletes on the field. And Wisconsin shut them down. So, they may have some holes on the back end of that defense, but in terms of running against Wisconsin, I mean, good luck. So at Michigan, they had a great couple of weeks running the ball. They did not fare quite as well, especially in the second half against Rutgers, but they're still averaging about 300 yards a game on the ground. So that's going to be a fascinating matchup to watch, just when Michigan's offense is out there against Wisconsin's defense to see how, like you said, Kincaid McNamara make plays with his arm.
Yeah. Another big storyline is the Iowa Hawkeyes, who are at Maryland this week. And Iowa, top 5 team now. I don't know if I'm buying it. I mean, the Iowa State win woke everybody up to them quite a bit, but now Iowa State, now we're wondering just really how good they are. The other wins, Colorado State and Kent State, and then Indiana, pretty concisive win over Indiana in that opening day game. But now they go to Maryland, a team that can score on everybody. And Maryland, of course, has Talia Tagovailoa at quarterback. Interestingly enough, now he would have been the quarterback at Alabama for this year, most likely, had he stayed at Alabama. Bryce Young is in there, and he's doing a nice job in his first 3 or 4 starts as a quarterback at Alabama. But Talia Tagovailoa has looked like a stud. How good is Talia in that Mike Locksley offense, and does Maryland have a chance to kind of establish themselves as a talking point in the Big Ten in this game against Iowa?
Yeah, I think Maryland's been one of those teams that's kind of slid underneath the radar a little bit here, but they've had a great start to the season. That you look at that win against West Virginia in the opener, and that one suddenly starts to look pretty good with how West Virginia played at Oklahoma, almost winning at Oklahoma last week. You got to start looking at Maryland, thinking, man, is this team for real? And this is their prove-it game. They're at home. It's a Friday night. Probably all of college football fans will be watching it because there's nothing else on Friday nights, and this is a legitimately good game. And Iowa's defense is one of the best in the country, as it usually is. And so we'll see how Talia does on this stage. I tend to think he's going to do very well. You look at what he's done so far this season. He is Pro Football Focus's #1 graded quarterback this year in the whole country. Ahead of Malik Willis, ahead of Matt Corral, Jay Kaner, some of these other guys that have great, Bryce Young. I mean, he's #1. He's at the top, and he's been good in every single game. And he's got some great receivers that he's throwing to. But, I mean, if you watch him, this guy, he's not a system quarterback. He's not just a product of, the environment that he's playing in or whatever. He's the real deal. And I mean, he's clearly the best quarterback in the Big Ten. Now, is he good enough to beat Iowa? And Iowa's made some quarterbacks look pretty bad, like Michael Penix and Brock Purdy and whatnot. So, we'll see. But, playing at home, I'm really interested to see how he does. A performance like this, people remember those games where it's like prime time and everybody's watching, and these games kind of stick with you. It's kind of like Monday Night Football in the NFL.
Yeah.
So big game for him.
Yeah, we've got to remind people it's a Friday night game. Of course, down here in Alabama, on Friday nights, he was pretty good on Friday nights in Alabama as a high school player. That's for sure. Ryan O'Gara with us. You're talking some Big Ten football. Now, in Matt Hayes' story about this game, your colleague Matt Hayes, he wrote that Maryland plays host to Iowa, and this will give us a clear idea of Ohio State's biggest challenger in the Big Ten. There's a second tier of teams that includes Michigan State and, yes, Maryland. So he mentions Ohio State, he mentions Iowa, then he mentions the second tier of Michigan State and Maryland. Where's Penn State and Michigan? Are they in that first tier or are they in that second tier? Because, I still feel like Penn State's got a pretty good shot here. And again, we're talking already about Michigan.
Yeah, I think Penn State, they're off to a great start, but I think there are some holes with Penn State, and I think some of those wins, that win against Wisconsin doesn't look quite as good anymore because Wisconsin's kind of self-destructed here. And, the win against Auburn, I think it's just going to look worse and worse as the season goes on, because I don't, Auburn's the sixth best team in the SEC West. So even though it was a couple ranked teams when they actually played, I don't think Auburn's going to finish anywhere near the top 25 this year. And I'm sorry if that upsets some listeners out your way, but we'll have to see about Penn State. They've really struggled to run the ball so far. So I think if you're just looking at how teams have actually played, I think Maryland's looked great. I think Michigan State has looked great. And I tend to agree with Matt, and I do think Penn State will get it figured out. But, man, just the Big Ten East in general is I think, other than the SEC West, there's not a division out there that's better than it. I mean, it's just top to bottom. I think Indiana might be the worst team in the East. And Indiana started the season in the top 20,
talking already about.
There's going to be a lot of contenders for Ohio State. I definitely think Ohio State's Big Ten winning streak, which I believe is at 22 or 23 games now, I definitely think that's coming to an end this year. Somebody's going to get them. Now, will they still win the East? I probably would still pick them to win the East, but I think there's definitely a chance they go 8-1, 7-2 in the Big Ten this year.
Well, it feels like they were eliminated with that loss to Oregon, but now Oregon is climbing all the way to number 3 in the country, and if they can run the table from here on out, they're still in the picture, right? I mean, they really are coming. They always seem to lose one early somewhere along the way, and then they can bounce back and be in this thing. Now, talk to me about little brother, because Mel Tucker, I don't know. Greg Schiano and Mel Tucker are probably hashing it out right now for Coach of the Year in the Big Ten. Michigan State playing very well.
Completely agree, and I thought I picked Michigan State to finish last in the East. And in my defense, it was more so a process of elimination because I thought the East was going to be really good. And it is. But clearly Michigan State has made a ton of strides. They overhauled the roster in the offseason. I think they had more transfers than anyone except for Tennessee, I believe. So they really added a ton through the transfer portal. They added Kenneth Walker from Wake Forest, and he's just been an absolute difference maker. And Peyton Thorne's played better than expected at quarterback. I really like how he plays. I think he does just enough, with his arm and his legs to kind of give you whatever you need on a given day. So yeah, I'm buying Michigan State as a top 25 team. I don't think they're going to win the East, but I really do think that they are going to be a team that stays in that top 25 all year. I mean, I'd be surprised. I think. Could they finish 6-3 or maybe even 7-2 in the Big Ten? Yeah, I think they could. I think 6-3 is very realistic, which I did not think that coming into this year. They've improved a ton under Mel Tucker. After seeing him speak at Big Ten Media Days, I was kind of like, oh, okay. He's got an idea of what he's doing here, and you just kind of got that feeling. Certain coaches give off that aura and that leadership. You could just tell they know where they're headed, and he was one of those guys. So. Definitely all positive things in East Lansing right now.
And finally, is Scott Frost saving his gig at Nebraska? Very tough against Oklahoma, but everybody seems to be playing Oklahoma tough. Had an awful loss to start the season, but does he have a chance here now? Because it feels like Nebraska is starting to play a little bit better. Is he dead man coaching, or has he got a shot to save his gig here?
Personally, I don't think he will. They're playing better. You're right about that. But they are still 0-3 this year against Power 5 teams. I mean, you don't save your job with close losses, at least in my opinion. And they're losses that are entirely preventable because it seems like every week it's a special teams mistake that ends up dooming them. And, the Omaha World Herald had a great article last week that kind of explored how many games under Scott Frost that they have lost because of special teams play. And it was like 12 or something where you could legitimately say if they make a special teams play, they're going to win this game, if they avoid that mistake. And now does it always play out like that? Of course not. But, it's a muffed punt. It's a bad kickoff return coverage or punt. Last week it was bad punt coverage. They've had so many struggles kicking field goals. And this is a Nebraska program that used to be one of the best in the country at special teams as recent as like 6-7 years ago. So to me, that comes down to coaching and organization. I mean, well-disciplined, well-coached teams execute on special teams. And Nebraska's defense has been outstanding. The offense has gotten a lot better. They've added some bigger receivers. Really, it's just the special teams that's preventing them from winning games, which is a shame. But, I got to see them beat some Power 5 teams before I start thinking about Scott Frost keeping his job, because, I think that investigation that it leaked, that they're being investigated, that's a sign where, okay, someone's kind of setting the table here for some sort of change here to kind of give him an out if he doesn't start winning games. So they have to win this weekend. I mean, Northwestern is, not playing well at all. So, that's the team that lost to Duke. So I just think they have to win, and win convincingly at home against Northwestern this weekend.
Ryan O'Gara has been our guest. Ryan, tremendous job on the 10 as always. I appreciate you, and thanks for taking the time to visit with us.
Thanks so much for having me, Tom.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll grab a break, and when we come back, we'll go open lines once again right here in the Thom Abraham Show. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family-owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Two Maids and a Mop. That's all you need to know to clean house. Two Maids and a Mop is an award-winning company, bonded and insured. Hire them for yourself, or they have gift cards if you want to make someone else's day. Find out more online at twomaidshuntsville.com. A maid service worth talking about. Two Maids and a Mop take care of everything. They supply all the cleaning equipment needed. Call 256-883-6243. The only finger you'll need to lift is the one to call them.
Never mind fall and football being in the air. We want to taste it.
And never mind not being able to tailgate at the game. Let's create the ultimate barbecue experience in your own backyard.
You said it, Foster Brooks, and that's where Brooks & Collier comes in. Big selection of outdoor furniture.
And a big selection of grills and smokers like Traeger, Big Green Egg, Blaze, even DCS, and more.
This is the good stuff.
And Paul, we definitely got the accessories. And remember, we deliver. Visit us at 813 Meridian Street and shop online at brooksandcollier.com.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
AVIQ. Who is AVIQ? AVIQ is audiovisual the intelligent way, where we put our IQ to work for your AV needs. With more than 100 years combined experience in audio, video, and automation, our team of experts is dedicated to one thing, helping you discover technological solutions that make your home special. Once you experience a game or a movie on one of our state-of-the-art home theater systems, you may never leave the house again. AVIQ can build the entire system for you or provide the quality components if you're a do-it-yourselfer. But AVIQ is more than just home theater and state-of-the-art sound systems. We offer a variety of control options for home technology. Energy efficiency, heightened security, and improved quality of life are all attainable through the automation of home systems. Intuitive and user-friendly control is our main priority in designing a system that meets your needs. Don't just take our word for it. You need to see it to believe it. Come visit us at our state-of-the-art showroom on University, just east of Jim and Nick's, across from AT&T, or visit aviqhsv.com.
Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to us on our YouTube channel and Twitch. Just search 97.7 ESPN. We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
People stay just a little bit longer. We want to play just a little bit longer.
Last segment of the show today brought to you by TOC Sports. When the time comes that you need to see an orthopedic, you tell your doctor you want a referral to TOC Sports, and you can call them out by doctor, or you can call them out by just saying, hey, I want to go see the docs at TOC Sports. They'll take care of you. They've been doing it for over 20 years here in the Tennessee Valley. Have grown. I mean, Fayetteville, they've got office up there as well. Just all over the valley is where you'll find TOC Sports, and you want to make sure that you get down there. Don't forget the Friday night clinic is open after all games on Friday nights. We hope that the clinic is empty on a Friday night, but we know that the game is a violent game. We get bumps and bruises, and if you need to see an orthopedic, you need to see the guys at TOC Sports. All right, phone lines are open here to the end of the show. We got a couple of minutes to get you in if you want to jump in at 256-576-4977. Disturbing story continuing to develop out of Chicago regarding the Bears, Grizz, and the fact that they are getting closer and closer to moving out of Chicago proper. They've spent $200 million to purchase a piece of property in Arlington Heights, Illinois, which is about 30 miles north of Chicago. So let's just put this in perspective. Let's say that, from Huntsville, 30 miles, say you got a team in Huntsville, and they decide to build a stadium that is 30 miles west of Huntsville. Yeah. That's past Decatur, right? I mean, that's out there a little ways. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot when you say 30 miles and you're talking about a big city like Chicago. And certainly the Chicago suburbs are, great Chicago suburbs north of Chicago. But this is 30 miles away, and there's two parts to it. One, I mean, Soldier Field, man. I mean, a history of Soldier Field. Yeah. You can't continue to do something there. They did a $600 million renovation not that long ago of it. And I know it's 61,000 seats, and it's one of the smallest stadiums in the league. But let's say, I mean, because I don't think there's anything shorter than building a new stadium right in downtown Chicago on the river that keeps them there. So let's say they are going to build this stadium. I hope they don't build a Ford Field dome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I hope they don't build another Minnesota dome, even a retractable dome. I mean,
that wouldn't be bad.
This is the NFC. No, it would be bad. This is the NFC North. I want these teams in the NFC North.
Yeah.
Playing outside in the elements. You're going to have Lambeau Field, which is the northeast of all the north.
Yeah.
You have Lambeau Field in the frozen tundra. And then you're going to have 3 other stadiums that are all domes.
Yeah.
I mean, Cleveland, Buffalo. Now, Buffalo's talking about they're going to have to build a new stadium. Are they going to build a dome? Are we going to totally lose the weather element in the NFL? I mean, is there anything better than watching a snow game from Pittsburgh or Cleveland? And thank God when they built the stadium in New York, they made it an open-air stadium, the MetLife Stadium, so at least those teams will continue to play, in a open-air stadium. But, man, the Chicago Bears in a dome on artificial surface?
I mean, their field was just crap in general. It was always hard when it was cold. I mean, it was just the absolute worst. It just looked like they just never did anything to the field. I mean,
now they got a heating system in it.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe it can help other teams, or maybe it can help other franchises. Because to be honest with you, I like where the Braves are at. As a Braves fan, I like them being where they're at.
Well, look, you had to shoot your way in and shoot your way out of the stadium before.
I mean, even downtown. To be honest with you, man, I've been there plenty of times. Turner Field was not that bad. I don't feel like it is that bad. I've left
the
many.
Neighborhood is not good.
I know, but I've left many Falcons games, late at night by myself. You know what I mean? And I never felt scared. I never just felt like I was in
you're
danger.
You're a tough guy. I mean,
no,
look
I'm not
at
a tough
you're
guy.
A wrestler.
I feel like if I was around people or if I was around fans, then a lot of times I'm in the right. So as long as I didn't put myself in a bad situation, I'm good. But for the Braves, though, they put all that stuff around it, and they built up around it, and they put more things to do outside of the stadium, and kind of like how the Trash Pandas are doing, where more and more stuff is growing around it, where it's a year-around thing. It's like I felt like at Turner Field, you could only do so much, but now I like it being a football field because you don't lose that stadium and you continue to use it and fund off of it and everything like that.
But the Braves, Truist Park is not that far out of town.
No, it's really not.
Miles.
It's like not even 10 minutes north.
Yeah, and let's be honest,
it's like 5 minutes from my old house.
And all the money's in the north side of Atlanta, Buckhead, and then up to
and the Marietta, the East Cobb area, the whole Cobb area is great.
That's where the town
Beautiful.
is growing. That's where you want. They didn't. That's fine. But
baseball parks.
What I'm saying here
amazing,
is,
man.
I don't want to see Chicago Bears football being played indoors.
I get it. Well, I mean, I don't like seeing the Falcons play indoors, but it just seems like that's like the norm nowadays because everyone wants to be comfortable.
They have for 100 years now. I mean,
I know, but I
think
92? I think people just want to be comfortable, and I think that's what they see. They see the added value in and having not having to deal with the elements. I guess sort of say that's why I love the Brewers. The Brewers, their stadium is amazing. They have a retractable roof. And it looks like a giant glass dome, like a glass box, but it's still. It's like one of the best.
And that's how the Vikings one is. If they do it, I would assume they do it like the Vikings. But I would rather they be on natural. What I love about the Raiders Stadium and the Cardinals Stadium and what was in Houston is they have a natural grass surface. You know what I mean? That they slide the surface out and it's only pulled into the stadium for games. That's what I love about it. Now, how much time do I have here? I want something else I wanted to read.
Less than a minute.
How much? Less than a minute?
20 seconds.
Like 20 seconds?
Not even 10 seconds. You got 10.
Before the music starts?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to save this story here. I got something I want to say. Say something about Bo Nix that we'll save for tomorrow. And we'll get into that tomorrow. Of course, tomorrow we'll also have Tom Perkins in the TOC Sports Prep Preview. And Steve Merrill will be in. We'll look at the games. All of that will be coming up tomorrow. In the meantime, coming up next is Chuck Oliver. And then after the Chuck Oliver is Paul Feinbaum. And after Paul Feinbaum is Stephen West with The Drive. And after that, the Braves, they will move within 1. Their magic number will go to 1 after they beat the Phillies tonight. It's all coming up right here on your home for everything that matters. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.